Hi everyone, I wanted to introduce you to GeoGebra. It's the graphing calculator we'll be using this semester. Best news about it, it is free. You can access it by going to the website, you could download it and put it on your phone, and you can also use it when it pops up in the homework. So lots of ways to do this. If you'd like to, you could create a GeoGebra account. So over here where it says sign in, if you don't have an account, you can make one up. That's totally your choice if you want to have an account or not have an account. I do have an account because I use GeoGebra a lot, and what it does, it lets you save your work so you can come back to it later, which is really nice. It also creates ways for you to share your work, so it creates a URL that you could send to me, or you could save the picture, so lots of nice things, and we'll talk about that more as we go. Today I just want to introduce you to the basics. So the basics include looking at the keyboards that we have. So when it first opens up, it opens to a keyboard that it titles 1, 2, 3, which means here's where the numbers are. So it has the 10 digits 0 through 9. It has the 4 basic operations of multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. You can see in the second row, it also has powers, so squared, bigger powers, the square root, absolute value. So lots of things that we will use this semester. Probably the second most common keyboard for us to use would be the FX one, and in there you will see this third line again is good. It has logarithms, then there's powers of e, bigger powers for taking roots, so instead of the square root maybe we want a cube root or something, so we'll find that there. ABC is a regular keyboard with just letters, and then the last one just has a few more symbols that you might find helpful this semester. Let's go back to the 1, 2, 3. So the 1, 2, 3 is, here's the keyboard. You can punch numbers on this keyboard. So you can see I put 45 plus 68 and it works. You can also actually punch the numbers on your actual keyboard, so you do have choices. There are some other buttons that are important to look at over by the basic operations. There's a couple of different arrows. So this arrow that has the X, that's the delete. So if I hit that, as it goes backwards, it takes the key away. So maybe I want to put 632 now. If I find instead that I want to go back and edit, that's what the other two arrows are for. So I can move back and maybe put a 1 in front of that 632, make it 1632. I could move to the end. Maybe I want to put a 5 at the end. So I get to edit, which is better than what I can usually do on a traditional handheld calculator, which is nice. Then the final arrow is the one that's returned, so that goes to the next line. You can use the return on your keyboard as well. Basic functions are awesome, so you can do multiplication, you can do division. It works the same way you've normally done a calculator. I think something that you're really going to like though is how this deals with fractions. Say I had 3 divided by 5, which is 3/5, and notice I'm going to hit the arrow over before I put the plus in. That way it tells it don't put in the denominator, go ahead and move over. And let's say I had 8 divided by 11. As I do that, it puts out an answer, 73 over 55. So it does common denominators, you don't have to worry about it. And if we had something bigger, say we had a fraction like 1/4, and we wanted to multiply it, so let me go over and say multiply, and let's do something like 22 divided by 48. So something that I know that's going to reduce. It does the multiplication, it does the reduction. You don't have to do anything. Again, push enter. I want to point out these two little buttons that popped up after I hit enter. This is what lets us change it from a fraction to a decimal. So if you had a fraction and you want it to be a decimal, you hit the approximation. If you have a decimal and you want it to be a fraction, then you hit the arrow. Other things we should talk about, powers. If it's a simple power like squared, you can hit the square button, which is the first one. So let's do 5 squared. If you have a bigger power, then you want to use this double box. So maybe we want to have 5 to the 4th. You're going to want to pay attention to order of operations as you do this. So if I had negative 5 to the 4th, notice it stays negative versus parentheses negative 5 to the 4th, which comes out positive. So you're going to want to put this into GeoGebra the same way it shows on your paper or how the question was phrased. Square root, so let's say I had the square root of 121. I can see the answer is 11. But maybe if I put the square root of just 11, it doesn't come out to be an integer, it comes out to be a decimal. I have 3.316624. It keeps going, but it does give you an approximation. It doesn't give the choice to go back to a fraction because this number is never going to be a fraction. If the root gets higher, right, say we want to do a cube root or a fourth root, that's where the fx comes in. You go over to the fx button, and then you can hit the radical sign, and say we want to know the fifth root, and let's put in of 32. When I push enter, it says 2. Pay attention to how that goes. So let's do that one more time. Let me go back to the fx and let me hit that button again. So notice I put the 5. We call this the index. Is the part that says what root are you trying to do. And when I used my little hand over, do you see how it's kind of at the outside? So if I put 32, it's going after, it's not inside the radical, so I would want to go back and use my arrow to get inside the box. So inside the box is where I want to put the number. You'll get the hang of it. It's not really that hard to manipulate. It's good because you can always see what's going on, and if you have questions, you can always ask. We're here to help you. We want you to be successful.